after you get your seedling transplanted, you gotta protect it against the elements. For me, the biggest thing I have to deal with early on is the cold, because I'm planting outside in April, in May, and we're still getting snow and frost that time of year. So what I do is I make what's called a Quonset hut. So it's basically a mini greenhouse inside my bigger greenhouse. As a beginner, you're probably not going to have a fancy setup, but if you were to do one thing to protect your seedling, I would recommend making your own Quonset hut. It is super easy. You can get some wire roll fencing at Lowe's, and I'll put a link to all of this stuff in the description. You're going to roll it out to whatever length you want. This wire roll is 5 feet wide, and I'm doing it 8 feet long, but that's pretty big, and I'm doing that just because my seedling is getting too big. I would say 6 feet would be pretty good. Then you use some bolt cutters to cut it, and then you'll notice after you cut it, there's going to be a bunch of sharp, spiky things, and you're going to want to roll those under themselves. One, so you don't stab yourself with them, and two, because they can get snagged if you do put a blanket over it or some row cover to protect it from bugs, and it's super annoying when it gets snagged on those little ends. Now, after I cut it to 8 feet, I realized that was way too big, but I do like having the extra bit just in case I want to make it bigger. So for now, I'm just folding it over onto itself, and if anything, it just makes it a little more sturdy and a little less flimsy. Lastly, you're just going to put it right side up, and you're going to bend the wire to whatever shape you want it to go into. Sometimes you make it a little taller to fit the light, but it doesn't matter how you do it as long as it does what you need it to do. And that's how you build a Quonset hut. I put a few things in there. As you can see, I have the black thing, which is an LED light. I use that for supplemental light. Over here I have one of those chicken brooder heat lamps. Alternatively, you could use an incandescent light bulb. They actually don't make the traditional incandescent light bulbs anymore, but they do sell incandescent light bulbs for appliances, so you can certainly still get an incandescent light bulb nice and easy for cheap, and it provides plenty of heat. And then the other thing I have is a little wireless thermometer, and that transmits the temperature to display on my refrigerator, so that way when I get up in the middle of the night I can see that my babies are nice and warm. So during the day, if it's 60 degrees and sunny, this big greenhouse will be 85 degrees just fine on its own. So I kind of just turn everything off and let it be during the day. If it's a cold or cloudy day, I might put some clear plastic over it, and then at night when it gets down to 40 degrees or lower, sometimes I've had 20-degree nights on occasion, what I do is I have my LED light on for dawn and dusk, and I do have it on a timer, just so it gets a little bit of extra light in those early and late hours. I turn on my chicken brooder heat lamp, and then I cover it with my grandma's old comforter. So I'll show you later how I do that, and it makes my greenhouses light up at night, which is pretty cool. So that's how I protect it from the cold. Now, a lot of growers who are watching this are probably beginners, and you may not have to worry about the cold because you may have waited until after your last frost to transplant outside. But some other things you're going to have to worry about, which are maybe problematic, may not be, are one, pests like deer. I've seen deer eat an entire plant and then it's gone and it's dead. The other pest that every grower is going to have to deal with is bugs. Usually by the time you see bugs, it's too late. For the pumpkins, it's usually cucumber beetles, which are these yellow and black striped little beetles, and squash bugs, and they can destroy your plant overnight. To help prevent bug damage, you can put something called row cover over your Quonset hut. Some people use pesticides. I would use them at your own risk. They can be harmful to humans, and they can kill bees, so be very responsible if you do use pesticides. And then in terms of protecting the plant from deer, honestly, just having the Quonset hut over it acts like a little cage, so that can work great. Here you can see my nighttime setup. I have my LED light on a timer. It's on for about 16 hours a day, and it is on a timer, so around dawn and dusk it gives it a little bit extra light, and then at nighttime, real nighttime, it goes off all the way. Initially, I have the clear plastic over it during the daytime if it's a little cool, and at nighttime I replace that clear plastic with a comforter. This is actually my grandma's old comforter, but you can go to Salvation Army and get cheap comforters there. I have my chicken brooder heat lamp going, and that stays on all night, and with the comforter it will keep that area under the Quonset hut a good 30 degrees warmer than outside. I've had nights where it's 29 degrees out and it's 60 plus degrees inside the Quonset hut. The greenhouses are quite a sight at night. There are cars and people that walk past these, and I don't know what they think, but I think they like it. It's pretty cool looking. Today it is 48 degrees and cloudy and raining, so the greenhouses are not getting very warm because there's no sun to warm them up. So what I used to do in this type of situation is I would run a space heater in this greenhouse, but it never really worked all that great. So now what I do is I take my little Quonset hut and I put clear plastic over it so that there's a mini greenhouse inside the big greenhouse, but it's still getting light from the little sunlight that is making it through the clouds. And then underneath it, I have my supplemental lights on because there's not much sunlight today. And then I also have that chicken brooder heat lamp going. And the combination of all of that keeps it pretty warm. It's about 70 degrees, 72 degrees on a 48 degree cool rainy day. Now this Quonset hut is a little bit bigger than the one in my other greenhouse, so what I have here is I actually put the comforter over the end of it over the chicken brooder heat lamp just to help insulate it a little bit more, but the seedling is getting plenty of sunlight, so it's not actually blocking any sunlight, but it is helping with insulation. I like this way a lot. This is kind of new to me this year. I've ditched the space heaters and I find that this works better, and it's financially a lot nicer on the wallet as well. Now, if you have your plant outside and you don't have a greenhouse or a Quonset hut and you're just doing this for fun, you don't want to put a lot of money into it, and you notice that you're going to get a frost or a really cold night, a great hack you can do is grab a clear plastic tote, cover up your plant, and you can stick an incandescent light bulb in there if you can do that, and put an extension cord to your house, and that'll keep it from dying at the very least. So that's a great little hack if you're trying to save money and are just growing these for fun without putting all the dollars in that the competitive growers do.